Chapter 10. Lasoni woke on the crotch of a huge tree, one she didn't remember climbing. Every bone in her body hurt to the marrow from clinging fast all night, suffering through the downpours and shivering. At least she had avoided the many ground predators, but that was sheer luck, or perhaps the wind and rain covered her scent. Her head throbbed with the mother goddess of all headaches as she dropped down gingerly. No doubt a rebound effect from so much twig tea and toxins. She reached up to rub her pounding temples, but realized she was still wearing Runine's. No, just keep moving, she told herself. You can mourn when you are safe. Pushing down all her emotions, all the jumbled thoughts that might get her killed, she carefully removed the band of feathers and charms. Rolling it up, Lasoni gently fit the headdress into her pack and gave it a soft pat. Rising, she walked out from beneath the tree's shade into the blinding morning sun and pressed on. She suffered through the next couple of days. Suffered but survived. If she could just make it to the lake, she might have a chance. Her water had run out, used up faster than expected when the necessity of a poultice arose. As she marched amongst the shrubs and crickets, her wound ached, forcing her to remember how she got it. She told herself that it had been a stupid mistake, thinking she could take down a wild boar solo. Too big. Even a man would have brought others, but oh no, I just had to. Stop talking. Conserve your breath. That's what Runine would have. Her eyes blurred again, and she blinked the tears away. All that mattered was finding a place to sleep and hopefully some food and water. Step after dusty, monotonous step, she plodded on. The only indicator she was getting closer to her destination was the appearance of small pine trees along the way, and with them lizards, ground squirrels, snakes, animals she could trap or kill with ease. They, however, brought more enormous beasts that could kill her with ease. That thought made Lasoni stop and find a thick patch of brush to hide in after looking around for said killers. The pack came off her shoulders with pieces of blistered skin where the straps had rubbed her bloody. Lasoni let out a string of curse words, so imaginative it made her laugh. Rotating her aching shoulders, she opened the flap. Peering inside, she surveyed the remaining supplies. 2 palm-sized strips of jerky, a handful of berries on the verge of molding, a couple finger dips of honey, her dwindling herbals, and a decorated pouch she had missed earlier. A pouch. And then fragments of sentences came back to her, the ones lost during the confusing, botanically induced haze of her banishment. Last night, I put in here, plants you need, sneak the black seed, all yours. Letting out a deep, defeated sigh, she opened the care package that Runine had given her. She hadn't used any sacred medicine since being kicked out, other than the smelly, medicinal salve on her arm. Inside the beaded leather bag was Runine's personal filter cloth. The figures embroidered on it were simplistic, but it looked like the two of them. Lasoni smiled, staring at the pattern dyed on the cloth from years of straining the sacred plants. She knew they were like rings on a spiritual tree, a testament to many voyages. But the average clan member? Just an old stained rag. She rubbed it fondly and unfolded it, revealing small bundles of the powerful herbs and corresponding seed packets. To her surprise, there was a bundle of that vile red bark, the Longlegs' shadowy executioner. She wanted to throw it far away, crush it with rocks, burn it. But there was always a good reason for what Runine did, despite how crazy it always seemed in the moment. And so Lasoni had come to always trust her wisely mischievous mentor. Wise indeed, old friend, she thought, chuckling lightly. Trying to focus, she laid out small amounts of her familiar herbal helpers, stashing the planting seeds in the backpack. This was not going to be pleasant, but she had to do it. Had to navigate carved a path to the lake before she lost too much energy from dehydration or starvation. She couldn't count on trapping or hunting to save her, but she could trust the plants right now. She took a few deep breaths and chewed a thumb's worth of the cactus and mushrooms, praying to the gods for saliva. Perhaps death was an alternative worth considering, she thought, as the alkaloids ravaged the back of her tongue, prompting an instant gag reflex. Somehow they went down, her mouth finally watering, but from nausea. Immediately, she put a plug of ginger and mint, squeezing it. It wouldn't be a total loss if her stomach could just extract enough of the medicine before she threw up. Adding insult to impossibility, she stuffed a healthy amount of the bone-dry twig on top of the plug and tried to pull saliva through the whole dry mess. She rewarded her bravery with a fingertip of honey and savored the fleeting sweetness. For a while, she just sat and waited for the magic to begin, or the purging. It was always a guessing game. Suddenly, Lysoni was walking, with no memory of a painful getting up. She was walking quickly, in fact, with a suspicious smile. Her wound was oozing, but felt healed. Her chafed shoulders could carry a felled antelope. She was sure of it. Praise the disgusting, mighty plant spirits. Hours later, racing against the setting sun, she made camp in a cozy, shallow depression on a large boulder. From it, the lake in the distance glimmered gold and berry blue. At least up here, she could only be attacked from one direction, above. If so, with any luck, her dagger would be sufficient. With any luck, she begged the wind as it pulled warmth from her exposed neck. She left to gather grasses, slashing handfuls with her freckled stone blade, all the while looking out for possible predators. Arms full, she returned to her little den, making a scratchy nest. It wouldn't be pleasant to sleep on, but at least she could try to hunt and come back to something. With her senses temporarily heightened, she had snagged 2 lizards, a rabbit, and almost a squirrel. Working quickly to dress it, she lit a fire and leaned the impaled meat diagonally against the stone. Gathering up the guts in the rabbit's skin, Lysoni scanned for obvious threats, then sprinted a decent distance to bury the mess. And she tried to pee, but that turned out to be pointless. She was severely dehydrated and constipated, a life-threatening combination. Tomorrow, she told herself. If nothing kills me tonight, when I reach the lake tomorrow, I will drink so much water I will burst. She gave herself a silly smile but winced, then pursed her paper-dry, bleeding lips. Apparently, the oppressive sun and the beaming moon had conspired to drive Lysoni insane. The chalk-white full moon was so bright it penetrated her eyelids. Defeated, she stared up at the twinkling, enthralling stars. The night was so cold, but the fire-warm stone would keep her almost comfortable until morning. Finally, falling into an exhausted sleep, she dreamt of the loneliest sound on earth, shoe leather scraping against the arid, dusty ground over and over again.